All right, Infernal Shrines it is. That, of course, opens up a couple of heroes that excel particularly at this battleground, like that Alexstrasza, for example, comes immediately to mind. And as you said, Tencher, this sort of defensive split-pushing style could also work very well here with heroes like Dehaka, for example. Even an ETC with Stage Dive is nothing... you know, to sneeze at here. Let's see what TeamNut decides to go for. Speaking of heroes like ETC, for example, was he also chosen in the Open Division Europe yesterday?
He was. He was both effective and ineffective, depending on which team picked him.
Okay.
He still has the issue of being a wee bit squishy as a tank, but overall his impact on the game was very effective at times. So overall was pretty valuable.
So was he played more as a secondary tank, like a split push with Stage Dive, or was he more the main tank with Mosh Pit?
Main tank with Mosh Pit and main tank with Stage Dive at times.
Okay.
Including in a game where I actually thought it would have been more valuable to go Mosh Pit as main tank, but he was main tank pretty much all of those games.
Cool. That's nice to see. So, you know, at least China isn't the only region who's kind of still experimenting with that ETC.
Yeah.
But yesterday in particular, right? Sorry?
Korea's been running it for a while now.
Yeah. But compared to yesterday, I think a lot of ETC was used in China, but it really didn't have success at all.
Yeah, it fits the China style when you're playing it, but it also is countered directly by the China style, aka heavy CC comps with a lot of aggression. There's a Hammer banned out.
Hammer banned out, indeed. So that, of course, means that TeamNut doesn't have to worry about these long stalled fights from a distance. Let's see if they're going to ban the Diablo. No, they go for Genji, which also makes a fair amount of sense. Now, it's been a while since we last saw Misaka on Diablo. It used to be one of his go-to heroes, go-to warriors for a long time. And I think Infernal Shrines by far is one of the better maps for Diablo because you have a lot of walls to slam people into. The objective phase normally can't be dodged that easily, and they immediately pick it up. Too good of an engaging warrior Diablo is. So I'm totally fine with that choice.
Does mean that Decker Kane is left over to
True.
TeamNut if they want to pick him up.
They should do it immediately, otherwise it's going to get banned.
Yeah, I mean, White Main's already banned away, so that's like the two top supports. In terms of objective clear, though, there are heroes who can do it a little bit better than Decker Kane, obviously, but his poke's consistently effective. They take Reyna, though. Not going for a support yet.
Going full Terran up to this point, and Rayner, while he's pretty much an always solid choice, I wonder if he was worth the pick over Decker Kane. I mean, Rayner is totally fine here. I wonder if Blaze was actually worth the pick over the Decker Kane, but I think it's going to be okay. Like, Blaze, if played well, offers so much utility to your teammates, especially with the bunker. You know, you just run to the bunker whenever you face heavy AoE damage, and you should be fine for a little while. But Decker Kane, man, ZZH is not going to ask twice for that hero. What do we say about Nightmare, by the way, here playing for TeamNut? I don't think he added a whole lot, but I also don't think he was playing significantly worse than the player he replaced.
I mean, I would argue that that's without taking out the word replace there, I think that he fits in well with that exact sentiment for all of TeamNut. None of their players are immediately losing them the game.
Yeah.
But very few of them are actually making the plays that allow them to win it either.
If you compare it to RPG, on the other hand, for example, in which, like, the very first game we saw DSL, formerly known as Zhenzhou, like, enter the battlefield, we could immediately tell, hey, this guy is amazing. Just remember his 2 versus 3, 2 versus 4 Cassia moments, right? Where he knew exactly how to make a difference. And these shining players, these shining moments, unfortunately, can nowhere be found right now for TeamNut. They are just a solid team, but nothing that really stands out at any point.
Yeah, and then we talk about the player that left TeamNut, FS, otherwise known as Free Show.
Yeah.
Which I assume is what his name stood for, but the TeamNut tag was probably too long. But him on RPG, he's actually making those plays. He's actually pulling out those aggressive moves, exactly as we can hope the new player for TeamNut, Nightmare, is going to be able to do. But so far, struggling to get those angles.
Can you imagine the situation, like, Free Show leaving the team, and then his teammates are completely caught by surprise. But why? Why are you abandoning us? Well, can't fit my nickname into the names tag, so see ya.
I assume he can, because freaking 7 Milk fits, so we know it's possible. But either way, Malthael and Junkrat finish out the draft for SPT. Very interesting. Makes sense though. Malthael against a Blaze Johanna going to be very effective. The anti-heal potentially with the touch of death is beautiful against the Alexstrasza. So the reaction from TeamNut is actually very reasonable. Malthael, all his healing is healing over time. He doesn't get any burst healing. You have to rely on Decker Kane for that. So having someone who can assist in bursting him is a very effective strategy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing that we can say about TeamNut, it's that they're definitely not afraid of SPT. They're going for these playmaking heroes like a Zeratul, and they're still trying to make things happen here. They're not, afraid. They're not intimidated by their opponents. Let's see if they can make it work out. Zeratul is always one of those lucky punch heroes, I want to call them. With one good VP, one good combo, one good moment of brilliance, you can actually turn a team fight around, even against a team like SPT, who did show that they are not immortal. They lost a couple of heroes in that last game. It's not like they played a perfect game like BTG versus CE yesterday.
Exactly. They weren't able to make perfect plays. SPTs, they do have weaknesses, but they are up against currently the last place team in the league. If they can't get a 2-0 against TeamNut, then we have big concerns for them when it comes to qualifying for BlizzCon, or even managing to stay in the top 4.
All right, SPT on the other hand, they need to take every game seriously. Even against TeamNut, they cannot drop their guard for a second. If they were to fail in this game, then that would mean they would only walk away with 1 point, and that can certainly not be their goal.
Let's head into the game, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be TeamNut versus Super Perfect Team. We're heading to the Infernal Shrines, and on the left-hand side, it is going to be TeamNut. I'm playing for them. It is going to be Mercy on the Zeratul, Atui on the Alexstrasza, Malthael on Zeratul, Nightmare on Reyna, and Dia is playing on Johanna.
Facing them once again, the reigning champions of China. It is SPT with Lucky, ZZH, Misaka, Melodies C, and Lucky.
Well then, let's head in. Soap with that Malthael. It is a very interesting pick. It's gone for the standard on a pale horse, but I want to bring your attention immediately to Hanzo's level 1. Redemption coming in here.
Redemption. Always like, it used to be the go-to pick for a long period of time after release. Being so strong, especially when it came to bursting down single targets later on with the sharpened arrowheads. So while this is still the build that Hanzo players go to, it's by no means as powerful as it used to be. A couple of heroes have hit those talents, but still, if you want to burst down a single target, and if you want to apply a little bit of extra pressure on heroes like Blaze, for example, or even a Zeratul that goes in too deep, this is definitely a good choice.
You see Mercy there standing completely still. Now moving in to try and help Malthael, who gets the double stun. Quick cleave on the backline, and Melody C gets wrecked. So what Mercy did there, for those who do not know the stealth mechanics, if you stand still for 3 seconds in stealth, then you become completely invisible. There is no more shimmer. Everyone ran past him, tried to gank Blaze, and Zeratul capitalized on them not knowing he was there, and is able to pick up first blood for TeamNut.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. Mercy now, on the other hand, needs to be careful that the Hunter does not fall here himself. But yeah, once again, you've summed it up perfectly there, Tetra. And also, it was so cool to see how he punished on Junkrat, the lowest HP target, who had just used Concussion Mine to actually enable a potential kill against Blaze. So there was no more escaping mechanism for that Junkrat. So perfect timing, perfect target prioritization by Zeratul here. Good first blood.
Good first blood indeed. Well played. And that's such SPT. They're keeping up in experience, but the tiniest lead available for TeamNut, as early game kills don't do a huge amount of experience. Neither do towers these days. Like, it's all tiny little bits of experience that jump up there, but if you're giving up minion waves for it, it's not worth. TeamNut, though, they kept the soak going, so far, everything's going pretty good.
Absolutely, and look at their map awareness as well. Johanna about to find out what Diablo was trying to achieve there. Unfortunately, they were just a second too late. Otherwise, they could have maybe tried to contest it. Speaking of it, Dia taking a little bit of poke from Lucky. And Lucky, of course, has to get those 2 auto attacks in on the same target in order to acquire a stack of redemption. And just for good measure, if he ends up dying, he's going to lose a couple of those stacks already. So it's not, a full reset like on other talents that we have in Heroes of the Storm, but still pretty much of a setback.
Yeah, it's a cool design in terms of talents in here, in terms of a talent. Although I will say I do miss Gathering Power on heroes like Zeratul.
Oh boy.
That was a fun talent back in the day.
Gathering Power Zeratul? Ugh.
Gathering power double bomb Zeratul.
Those were
Blink
the days.
in, bomb, cleave by. That was
speaking-
it. That was the entire strat.
Speaking of nostalgia talents, do you miss promote?
No. Absolutely not.
Oh,
I do
boy.
not miss the 5 promote team, Mr. Kendrick, or like the 3 promote team was like the actual one that was sort of used.
Just buff
I
those
also don't miss
minions.
5 in Venom, the 5 in Venom strat.
Oh boy. Yeah, we had a couple of cool generic talents in the alpha and beta stages, guys. If you don't remember what they are, don't feel bad about it, because you're probably better off this way. Like, the game right now is in a much better state, it's safe to say, than a few years ago. So yeah, take concussion went onto Rainer, but he escapes.
Dragon Queen used. They're going to try and zone away. 18 to 22, currently in favor of SPT as the Junkrat continues to siege in those grenades, actually stealing away a couple. 24 to 24 as they race towards that 40. Dragon Queen wind buffer is used, but now it has expired. Diablo moves forward for a target. Easily finds Raider, and Nightmare gets taken out as a Tui is sent miles away from the 2 frontliners, and SPT pick up the Punisher.
Wow, kudos to SPT for actually powering through the entire duration of the Dragon Queen, and that really is one of those points which show you how good of a team SPT is in China, because other teams probably would have backed up immediately the moment they saw the Dragon Queen, and they would have tried to reinitiate once that cooldown, or once the duration was expired. But no, they realized they had a better position. They realized they had better health bar conditions, so they just powered through. Not only did they get the objective, but also a kill on Rainer. Fantastic early game yet again by the champions of China at the moment.
We see the push continuing for this bottom lane. The Punisher has been left alone, as we actually see SPT rotating up, where they have those sharp arrowheads like you said. They're going to clean up this mercenary camp. I doubt they're going to push with it at this stage. There's too much XP to gain in the mid lane.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely not going to say no to Johanna, even though she's not the target of choice here. But they decide not to pursue this target. They realize, you know what, Iron Skin is probably still too good to secure a kill here. But if Dia, Malfail, if they go in that deeply, they push him back into the Decker Cane Scroll, and that is an easy kill for SPT.
And it is. Malfael is taken out on that Blaze. And they're going to now use this opportunity to begin to push in. They have a minion wave arriving. Misaka, though, is going to eat a shot or two. He's now finished all his souls. With the minion wave arriving, they're going to try and push in and take a second tower, maybe even the fountain here.
Yeah, and that, of course, is the strength of that Firestorm build that we're used to seeing. That is the strength of Diablo on a 3-lane map. You're going to have your souls completed after 4, 5, 6 minutes, as to compare the 10, 11 minutes that we saw in game number 1 for TeamNut, of course. So Diablo already a much more frightening force to be reckoned with.
He's just soaking the bot lane for the moment. He doesn't have the best wave clear, but it's not the worst either. He's still getting damage off. He's still burning through them. Malfael positions himself to push out this lane as quick as he can. With a little bit of a rotation, the turrets will go down. Both of them very much likely to fall. The minions, actually no, Junkrat will be able to finish those off if he was still attacking. Rimtails with the anti-heal. And nicely done. Just very simple. The anti-heal dropped, so there was no chance of surviving. Riptide is used, and with Ice Storms having no cleanse, that was a very, very simple, easy kill. But they burned 2 heroics for it.
Yeah, that they did, right? But I think it's safe to do this when the enemy team still takes, or when they still need a considerable amount of time to actually catch up on level 10, right? But the moment TeamNut turns 10, then I think SPT will have most of their heroic abilities ready again. So yeah, it was a good lockdown. It also secures them lane domination here on the top lane. Look at how much free damage they now get to deal onto this forward. They only now retreat. Only to maybe set up a little bit of a trap here and pursue enemies of TeamNut who are too brave and move too far out of their protective zone.
Level 10 is available for TeamNut. What are we going to see? Zeratul holding his. It should be VP. There we go. Thank you. Johanna also holding onto hers. Once again, it should be Blessed Shield. I don't really see much value in the Falling Sword here, as there's very little setup outside of the Void Present.
Yeah.
There we go. Blessed Shield is picked up.
Blessed Shield really solid. You need as much lockdown against the Malfail who goes for... sorry, help me out here. It's not the last rites, it's the...
Tormented Souls.
Tormented Souls, there we go. Thank you, dude. Yeah, you need all the CC you have against that, right? You need to keep him still without, you know, enabling him to self-sustain and heal himself. So yeah, I totally like that choice. Now, with all the tools in place, with all the weapons being online for TeamNut, it is their time to shine. They have the Dragon Queen, they have the VP, and they have follow-up burst damage as well with Raynor. So let's see what they can do. If they don't win this team fight, I think they're actually in a dire situation.
Malthael able to dash away after taking the engage from Diablo. Raynor gets rooted, but SPT pulls back a bit, waiting for their re-engage opportunity until that Dragon Queen expires, if possible. It's 20 to 14 already. They do need to move in. Hyperion expires, so now they can move in. Tormented Souls. The Void Prism puts the fight on pause, but the Lightning Breath is effective. Look at how tanky Misaka is as he's holding this together. The Tormented Souls once again hits very few heroes. Bunker is used as we see Malthael trying to move forward, but he's getting CC'd by Misaka. He actually survived, though, so not so lucky on that Malthael, and is just able to escape.
The heals
picked up by Dire. TeamNut. Nightmare goes down. Malthael is low, both of them, as we see them move in, and Zeratul is taken out.
Zeratul is taken out. Now it is a 2E completely surrounded by enemy heroes. And although SPT wasn't able to secure the Arcane Punisher, guess what they did? They cleaned house with a clean triple kill against TeamNut. Only Blaze and Johanna, the frontliners, left to tell the story of what happened. And they even get the fort in top lane, thanks to the mercenaries they had unlocked earlier. That's the icing on the cake. So Tetcher, another thing went wrong for TeamNut. They actually had a really decent hold on that teamfight for a long period of time, but at some point, the damage from Malthael and Junkrat was just too much for them to withstand.
It really was. Also, can I say how tilted I am having to cast Malthael versus Malthael? It is
Thanks, China.
really difficult. Thanks, China. Like, I literally had to say the Malthael is low, both of them, at one point in the fight, because they were both the solo laners as well, so they've been in the lane together. Thanks, China, indeed. Either way, we are seeing SPT looking a little bit ahead with a talent lead, a level lead, and they're looking to get more as they're going to hit 14, a 2-level lead. They move on to the other side of the map. Misaka finds Dia. Iron Skin can't protect against body blocks as they focus him down, and Dia gets wrecked.
Absolutely. I'm glad that Malthael on that Blaze actually abandoned the bunker mission. If he had stayed in there for too long, that would have been another death against TeamNut. Looks like the Riptide is just going to get the Fountain. Okay, not too shabby. And a little bit of damage onto that fort, but of course there was nothing else left to be achieved. So, Diablo at this point, Misaka, he is the ultimate obstacle for TeamNut to overcome. And look at that. They barely have any tank shredding whatsoever. That is usually the problem when you run double tank, double frontline, and another melee assassin who doesn't have shredding against high speed targets. So yeah, with that Zeratul, although he's really good, speaking of Zeratul, he ends up falling to the caster curse, another victim. But yeah, you don't have Tychus. You don't have, let's say, a Leoric to really deal with that high HP Diablo.
LDC pokes away at Johanna, but this time the Iron Skin, very effective, goes through the Scroll of Sealing. But now that that's been used, here's Misaka, looks for Lord Nado and the Concussion Miner, perfect. But the damage output,
are they gonna get her? They got her!
Dia goes down. That was pretty close, very tanky Johanna, but the damage output and that Lightning Breath slow just enough to finish off the Crusader.
If Johanna had escaped there, Tetra, I think that would have made them look very silly. But on the other hand, they played that super well. They counted the cooldowns, right, of Johanna. They saw the Iron Skin go down earlier in the flight attempt, and then they realized, you know what, we might as well just give it a shot. And Misaka had the perfect combo. The Lornado, as you said, even the Concussion Mine, so much dislocation available for SPT, so they made this look easy.
Misaka taking a couple hits, but tanks through. He's full on souls, remember, so he's able to get away with that pretty easily. As the next objective begins to spawn. SPT, 25 seconds to kill, and they have a Fallen Shaman camp available. Malthael immediately heads up to deal with that.
Yep, they definitely want to secure that one. It's actually going to, you know, make sure that there is going to be a little bit of extra pressure in the top lane. So SPT, they are in perfect control of that game. 16 talent advantage is here as well. We have the piercing damage coming in now for Hanzo, so the Stormbow is actually going to pierce through. Combine that with the explosive shots of level 4. That is probably one of the strongest AoE wave clearing talent combos in the game. Just look at how much damage he's going to deal on those skeletons and the minions too.
See Malthael on that Blaze, getting absolutely battered. Drops Pyromania, but he's got anti-heal on him. He's in serious trouble. He's able to pull back. but he's dropped already quite low. He's standing in his own fire, dodges the scroll of ceiling. That's quite effective. But in the meantime, it's 22-6, and maybe a dead Zeratul as we see the backline getting wrecked by the Tormented Souls. Lightning Breath being used as the Riptire is perfect. We see Blaze getting taken out in the backline. Dia, the only other survivor, as Mercy has already abandoned this.
Yeah, and speaking of abandoning things, this is a dead mission here for TeamNut. They need to get to safety as quickly as they can with the remaining members they have. Only Zeratul and Alexstrasza. There's absolutely nothing that can be done about it. Alexstrasza even now needs to go on mercenary cleanup duty here because there's nobody else available. Zeratul is trying to get a little bit of something done in the bottom lane. Is he currently fighting the mercenaries? I think he is. Well, that's going to maybe give them a tower or two, maybe even the fort, but they really need to retreat as quickly as possible to defend this keep and core.
If they even can defend it. With 2 seconds left till everyone's back, it's going to be a 5 versus 5 plus Punisher defense.
They're just on the bottom.
He is. He needs to. The port finally lands. VP's available, so we can certainly delay this. Good Iron Skin pull up to the keep range. Misaka, though, finds Nightmare. That's a huge amount of damage removed. Blaze also dives deep. The stun doesn't land, and he immediately gets targeted. He's tanking through, though. The Punisher has eaten a lot of damage from that keep pull. Very, very nice by Johanna. Probably keeping his team maybe in this game. The VP goes down, charge into it, and Zeratul gets absolutely destroyed. Down goes Malthael on that Blaze. And we're going to see the push in by SPT. That's GG. And the 2-0 goes over to Super Perfect Team.
It ain't safe no more in their own base, Tetrick. SPT is absolutely everywhere. They're cleaning off the Alexstrasza as well. They're even trying to get that Johanna for good measure. Body Flux, unfortunately, not good enough. The Punisher is still alive and kicking. And down goes the core. SPT in absolute dominant fashion secures themselves a 3-pointer. You really just want to play with Johanna here a little bit more. There we go. And down goes the core.
Nicely done, Super Perfect Team. They take a 2-0 and a solid